Hello everyone. Today's video is going to be about fixing your stars in linear data. The difference between linear and nonlinear is that they will not be stretched. The data isn't stretched, and it's at 32 bits for the bit depth. So you have a lot more to play with 32-bit data than you do, say, with something that was captured and then processed in another program, like a nonlinear image would be. And that could have been captured in something like Mellencamp Sky or anything similar, where you're actually doing an EAA run and you're more interested in getting the quick looks, and your exposure settings and gain settings are much different than if you're in AP land. So the first program I'm going to use, because I'm really liking it, is Grasper. And what this will do is flatten the background. It removes all kinds of gradients. I'm using the beta build. We'll load an image, and this is the bubble image that is currently on my YouTube channel. If you go into community, it's near the top. So we'll open this, and we can see that this was taken with my C14, and I had some dither marks or dither lines, which we'll take care of right now. And these were only 90-second subs at f11, so don't be too worried about the noise. I'm not. And you can see that the dither line goes from here down to here, so we're going to get rid of those because we don't want to be processing the data with them in it. Do something like this, and we'll crop it. And now what I want to do is to create a grid, and I am currently in what I would call like histogram mode, where I'm using the max stretch settings. And so basically I'm overstretching, and where that helps you is in placing your points. You don't want to have points that are necessarily in the nebula, like this one, maybe this one. The rest I'm not going to get too upset over. They all look pretty good. So now what I want to do is I'm using a smoothing factor of 0.24. I'm also using the AI, and I'm using the most current version of the AI, which is from the 12th, October 12th. So I'm going to calculate this, and what you'll see is that the image is going to even out. Tremendously even out. So I'll get rid of the sample points, and I'll just go back to the original so that you can see the difference. And it's a rather large difference. And if we go back to what the gradient looks like, this is what it's removed. So I'm going to save this. Oops, let me go back to the processed. I'm going to save the process as a 32-bit fit. And bubble, save. And we can close Grasper. And again, not sure if that's the correct pronunciation or not, but I'm not going to worry about it. And now I'm going to open up Siril, because this is where we are going to fix the stars. So I'm going to open my image that I flattened in Grasper, I'm going to do an auto stretch, and we can see if I go into this corner that I've got a little stretch in the stars. And that's mainly because I have a little tilt in my C14, which I haven't worked on in a long time. It's an old scope, so it needs a little work. You can see that some of the stars are misshapen here. So this is what we want to work on today. So I'm going to go to full screen view, and I'm just going to do my normal processing, which in this case would be a color calibration, photometric color calibration. And I just put myself into console mode so that we can see what's going on here. So I'm going to say OK. And it's done the color calibration. Now I'm going to go and remove the green and apply that. I'm going to close this, and I am now ready to start looking at the stars. Now I can tell by looking at this that I don't have a lot of saturated stars in this image. Very close. But what you can do with linear data that you can't with nonlinear data in 16-bit mode is you can actually desaturate the stars in linear form. You don't need to remove the stars. So what I'm going to do is going to change the profile type to Moffett. And I'll just knock this down to say 30. And I'm going to select my stars, and you can see that I only have a couple that are saturated. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is not bad. And that is mainly because of the filter I use. With the brighter stars, the IDAS GNB filter kind of gives halos around brighter stars, and that's mainly because it's further out in the IR land, and that has a tendency to bloat and give halos. So I will now run my desaturation. And you can see that it's finished right here. And I'm just going to click on the pick the stars again. And you can see that it didn't get one of them. But I'm not going to worry about that. I am now ready to remove the stars. It didn't change the shape of the stars, it just desaturated the stars. So what I want to do now is go into linear mode. I want to take star net removal, and I need to pre-stretch because it's linear data, and I need to pre-stretch, where nonlinear data you don't do this. I'm going to press execute, and it should go pretty quickly because there's not a lot of stars in the image. There's a nice blue star right there, like that. So we're about halfway done. And what you notice is the StarNet has a progress bar where the desaturation and the resynthesis, star resynthesis, does not. That isn't working just yet in this version of Siril. So you have to look for the execution time to tell you, that will tell you that it's finished. We're almost there, and what will come up is the background. And we'll just do a quickie stretch on it, nothing fancy. So here's the background in linear form. So I'm going to go to Ashen and I'll use the GHS, go into modified Ashen. I want even weights. I want to pick something like right in here, which is a low number, which is what I want. And I'm going to go up just a little. And what this does is it kind of reinforces the colors. I'm going to apply this. I'm going to go into linear mode, generalized hyperbolic, independent channels, grab something like in here. Just back off a little bit. Apply this. And maybe go up in here. And I'm not being too particular about what we're getting. Okay, so this is as far as I want to go with this. Maybe one more. I'm going to stop here. So I'm going to close this, and I'm just going to save over what I already have, which is this file right here. So I'm going to click Save, and it's going to overwrite that image. Now I'm going to load the, where did I put it? Right here, starless bubble. Or the star mask, I'm sorry. I'll get it right. And I want to do kind of the same thing where I want to jump into Ashen, go to modified, even weighted. I'm going to try and pick something like right in here. It will be a low number, which is what we want. And you have to remember, this is the Ashen view, so don't get too worried. I'm going to back this off so that that pulls the histogram, the right edge of the histogram, it pulls it back to the left so that we don't saturate the stars again. I'm going to close this. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to close that. My bad. I want to go to linear mode. And I'll stick with the same number. Something like this. Again, drag this back. And what I think I'm going to do now is get rid of my box. I'm going to go into Star Processing, back into the gear icon, and now I'm going to do a Gaussian blur, or a Gaussian profile type, and pick the stars. You can see that I do have a few overly bright ones, so I will desaturate those. It's done. If I pick them, they are all gone. But what I can do now is do the full resynthesis. And again, I'm sorry, I can't say that word. And what this is going to do is it's going to reprofile the stars. and fix all my bad ones. You can see that there's some elongation in those and in those. And it is now done. But what this does is it lowers the intensity on them. So now we have to bring those back up. So I'm going to go back into my GHS tool, and I'm selecting an area with a couple dim stars. I like that number, so I'm going to bring it up. You see, I'm not doing big moves here. Pull it back, and I'm kind of liking this. So what I want to do now is a saturation stretch. We use that same and you can see that now we have blue stars, red stars, yellow stars. So I'm liking that. Just going to drag this back a little. And then we'll close this. And then I'm going to save this on top of the old one. And what we can do now is we can either use the Star Processing Star Recombination tool, or I can jump into Photoshop, which I'll show you that way, because the Photoshop gives me a little more sweetening tools. So I want to open my starless. Oops, it still fits. Son of a gun. Bad Jeff, bad Jeff. I want to save this as a TIFF. And it's now stretched. It's going to be 16-bit, so I'm dropping from 32 down to 16 now. I'm going to open my starless. And I'm also going to save this as a TIFF. (16-bit). Go back into Photoshop. And now I'm going to open the TIFF file. The starless TIFF. And you can see that my background is kind of bright. So what I usually do here is a quick Astro Flats, and this will even out the data for me. Even though I did use Grasspert, I come back into Astro Flats because Astro Flats gives me some more tools to even out the data. So I'm happy with this, and you can see the difference. So now I want to work on the noise, and I'm going to use Noise Exterminator to do that. Excuse me. And that looks very good. Now I'm going to go into Camera Raw. And what Camera Raw will allow me to do is I click on auto and then make changes based on what I'm seeing here. And I'm actually kind of liking this. We'll do 60. I'm not going to mess with the color here, but I will up the texture, clarity, not a lot, just a little, and do a little dehaze. Color mix, grading, detail. Now I'm going to remove, I'm going to sharpen a little. I'm going to remove some of the noise and some of the color noise. And I'm happy with this. Looks very good. Going to change. So now what I can do is sharpen even more. And you can see what that's done. It's really added some dimension to the... I have 7 versions that I can go through. Some are more aggressive than others. Thinking I'm liking number 1. Yeah. Let's use number 1. So now what I'm going to do is, where is it, where is it, where is it? Okay, so I need to open this, go here, and now I'm just going to drag in the starless TIFF. And just drag it on top. I'm happy where it's placed. I'm going to screen it. And there's my beautiful looking bubble with beautiful colored stars. And this image is much flatter than, say, let me open it. And I hope to be able to show you. It won't be of the same size, but it's going to be very close. So that is, let's go full screen. Oops, wrong one, Jeff. Fit screen. It's going to be a little bit off, but you can see that the background is much more even with the graphics. Or Graspert than it is with this one. Now I didn't spend as much time on the post-processing. It was more to show you that all my stars are now fixed. So if we zoom in, you see nothing but round stars, beautiful colors, where I had some elongation and very little color. And I'll take this any day of the week. So I hope you picked up some useful information here on fixing your linear stars in Siril. It's just enough different from the nonlinear way of doing it, and that's mainly because of the way the nonlinear data was acquired and processed, and it was processed at 16-bit because it was done in Photoshop, I believe. So once you bring that data into Siril, you really don't want to make it a 32-bit image, because that Siril isn't going to recognize a lot of the stuff that was done to the 16-bit data, and it just works better if you stay in 16-bit for nonlinear data versus 32-bit for your linear data. So what you can do that is different is you want to do what you normally would do after you get the stack done, and that's to remove to crop, to get rid of your dither lines if you have any, or some like a meridian flip where they didn't quite line up again. Then you want to do your color correction, remove the green, and in my case, I did my background extraction before I brought the data into Siril on this particular image. And then once you have that all done, then you want to go in and pick your stars using the Moffat for the first round. And you do not need to remove the stars to do a desaturation. Once that's done, then you want to go in and remove the stars so that you have a starless and a star mask version of the data. And then you want to load the star mask data, use a Gaussian capture of the data, and then you do your full resynthesis. And then after that's done, you need to stretch both sides, the star mask and the starless. And then you can either use the star recomposition in Siril, or in my case, I like to do this in Photoshop because it gives me a little more flexibility. So I hope you've learned some new tools, or a new way to use tools that definitely benefits how the data looks in the end. So clear skies, everyone, and we'll see you on the flip side. Thanks.